Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope anybody living in the Florida region in the path of the hurricane stays safe. Hopefully, you guys are protected. If you guys are staying through the hurricane, it looks like it's getting pretty bad, as it looks like it's about to be upgraded again to a category 5, it looks like. But hopefully, all friends, family in that region are safe, and we come out stronger through the storm than we went in before. But let's get to the market. Market itself, we'll start with the SPY. We have an interesting divergence. So we have and I believe Jeremy in the afternoon room yesterday said that if Apple or Tesla drops, so will the market. I agree in the fact that Apple and Tesla has been absolutely beast mode, absolutely strong, and I think it is keeping the market up. Today, we do see Tesla up pre-market, but we're getting a gap down on Apple, right? So well, Tesla's kind of holding at least where it closed, but we have Apple, which looks like a pretty dangerous gap. So that Apple will be weighing on the market today. Just watch out for that. But we have almost not conflicting news stories, just two different news stories, and the market's kind of treating Apple a little bit differently today than probably the rest of the market. So Apple dropping on I believe it was a Bloomberg report last night that Apple is slowing down or not producing as many iPhones as they previously thought they were going to, just based on demand, which again could be either from the fact that inflation is crazy high, people are a little bit consumers, a little bit worried about the economy, maybe spending less, or maybe they realize that they already bought that phone like 12 times in a row, and it's the same exact thing. One of those two. Rock says I already got the 13. Might be because Apple reduced production on iPhone 14. Yep. Yeah, lower demand. I think they're still saying the premium model is higher though. So I think they're still saying that the premium model is selling. It's just the standard version lower demand than expected, right? So you have still people that are just Apple heads and are buying it. So that is definitely causing Apple to drop a little bit. Also, I mean, this is our hourly chart. We had a beautiful double bottom. We had some decent VPOCs that we should be trying to hold. That didn't work. And then I think we have the next level, at least that I'm looking at. Probably I could see us getting to about 147.26. If that breaks, the next level down somewhere around the 145. But it does look like a pretty decent gap down. That being said, the SPY is actually, we had a pretty interesting gap down, and I think that was on the Apple news, which again, Apple will be able to affect the markets. The one thing looking at the SPY is moving higher pre-market, specifically because of the Bank of England, I believe. They're trying to stabilize the British pound, which has been absolutely getting wrecked as of the last week to probably a little bit longer than that. But they're trying to make some additional purchases in order to stabilize that. And I think that's good news for really the entire global economy. Would be pretty happy if the British pound can stabilize a little bit, bring some kind of normalcy back. So I think we're bouncing off that. So we do have a little bit of conflicting. We do have bad news on Apple, but I think in a general sense, at least a little bit of hope for the bigger markets. Yep. The UK Bank of England are selling and buying bonds. Correct. Yep. Yeah, they're looking to kind of hedge and just really more so just trying to stabilize the currency. Yo, Varus is in the house. What's up, yo, Varus? 14 is 14. I don't know what that means. Yeah, the new phone is a 14. No, Rock's an OG though. He got the 13. I mean, what are you even gonna do with that? Make phone calls, text, and do the same thing you could do on a 14? Come on, keep up, Rock. Keep up. Just, here's our key number on the SPY, 365.75. Until we could break that point, it's still going to be probably a little bit more bearish than bullish in a weird way. And again, in bear markets, you could see some pretty crazy bullish rips. I don't know if we have it yet. I don't know what's to come. There's still a lot of doubt. And not only that, but I think Emily posted in Slack the lineup of news events for today. So 8:30, we have good trade balance, prelim wholesale inventory. 10 a.m. This is today, right? Yep. 10 a.m. pending home sales month over month. 10:30, we got crude oil inventories. And then we have just a lineup of Fed coming out. Like they're bringing out the entire team today. And the key one is 10:15 a.m. We got Jerome Powell speaking. I wouldn't put that much weight on, I don't think I would put that much weight on today's Fed speaking as normal, just because there's no policy changes, there's no rate hikes, nothing like that. So I wouldn't be as terrified. But again, we've seen when the Fed talks, if they go hawkish, if they go bearish, or dovish, you'll see the entire market start to move based off of at least their sentiment. And I think the key takeaways, if we even get to that point, is what kind of insight are they giving us from this meeting that will eventually play into at least the way that the thinking and future rate hikes, future policy hikes, things like that. But otherwise, I don't really see them coming out today delivering any kind of major updates, major news breaks, nothing really to that sense. So we'll see. It will have some probably affect a little bit on the market, but nothing like what we saw with the 0.75 rate hike and then bringing out some of their predictions and dot plots and things like that. So we will see. We will see. But we do have that little bit of slight gap up. The more important thing on this one, and let me just share the Thinkorswim screen, just because that's where I have the pre-market, is the one thing to really watch on this. Even though it's a slight gap up from open, we're still inside day of yesterday, but just the fury that came in. I mean, this was a horrendous gap down, and the fact that we're even able to get close to yesterday's close, quite honestly, that's showing that there is a little bit of strength, a little bit of hope. But again, until we get a little bit higher, which pre-market, what was the number we said? 365 and change. 365 looks like 365.42 is right where we hit, and then so far getting rejected. So that 365 is going to be absolutely huge to watch. If we could finally break that, we might have some beginning of some kind of upside. Otherwise, I would say everything is still, at least the overall market is still bearish. We got that hopium. Yeah, I'm just trying to breathe a little hopium into the market. That's all. Just trying to keep it alive. Let's see. Let's go back to this. Otherwise, using VPOX, I mean, again, we're still leveling down. We're not having any type of gaps that really starting a trend or really trapping a lot of bears. Nothing really crazy at this open. We were right at that hourly 10 EMA on the SPY as well. So again, this is going to be just an absolutely massive level. I just want to see what that was again. 365.82. So we almost got up there. We're about 40 cents short. So we will see what happens on the SPY, but that's the level I'm looking at. Otherwise, when we do open, at least out of the gate, we do have some type of support, which would be 362.38. I don't really want to see that get broken on the SPY. Let's take a look at the Qs, see if we can find a little strength in the market somewhere. And realistically, inside day on the Qs looks very, very similar. So there's the 2 previous days of VPOC. We're underneath that, just like we are in the SPY. We are actually a little bit lower than the 10 EMA for right now on the Qs. We'll have to see when this thing opens, but we do have some kind of support. I really don't want to see get broke. 272.94. The Qs will probably have a little bit more pressure on it today. And I'm talking the Qs in general, not individual companies, just because I think Apple could weight it down if that Apple gap gets a little fast and furious as well, but we will see. Rock says, I think Apple gets bought up. I'm going to get the new AirPods, so that should help. That will help their balance sheet. There is I don't know if you've been involved or seen a Apple conference call, Rock, but They usually do mention your name. They're like, we didn't get Rock to buy anything this quarter, so we're suffering a little bit in sales. But then there is a little celebration. They do bring out the champagne when you do buy AirPods, so that does help the balance sheet for sure. Yeah. They're like, man, our marketing didn't work to Rock this month. He did not upgrade his phone yet. All right, let's take a look. Let me zoom out a little bit on Amazon. So Amazon, I don't know what happens. I mean, we were weak. We have a little bit of sign of potential double bottom. I'm watching this area very, very strongly. The dotted line from a longer term perspective is a VPOC. Highest volume VPOC right in that level. Also, we have two daily VPOCs, one right here, relatively the same spot. So again, this is the level that we want to hold. We are dancing around it slightly below at open. But otherwise, if we can hold it, if we could rise, we technically did make one new higher high. And if this rotates here, that would be one new higher low. Maybe we can start some kind of trend. I'm not loving where this thing is opening right now, though. I want to see us open above 113.85. So if we can get above 113.85 at open, we have, again, a little breath of hopium out there in the markets that maybe we could get a little bit higher and continue. Where this is opening right now, again, it's going to look a little weak. And I think Apple will have some kind of effect. Think about retail for a second. If Apple's demand is lower, if Apple comes out, they're saying their demand's lower, a company that's heavily involved in retail, you would only assume something similar to that. And if it has anything to do with not so much just that iPhone, but just consumer sentiment in general, the iPhone's a good way to pretty much engage consumer sentiment, right? So I think Amazon might have a little weighted pressure on it. But again, we'll see where this thing opens. Rock did buy the AirPods, so keep that in mind. Maybe that does help Apple, and Amazon rallies from there as well. Matt says, Rock, are you trading HD out of the gate? We'll actually pull that up. We'll see what's going on with HD. Again, we did look at Apple. Relatively disastrous gap for right now. Even if this thing gets a rally, unless it's one of those days like we saw in Nvidia, what was a week or two ago, or MU, I think it was, one of those gap down and just massive bull candle at the end of the day. And I mean, anything is possible, but this is going to have a little bit more pressure on it with negative news sentiment. So I'd really only be looking to go bearish on Apple for me today. But I want to go bearish as high as possible. Let's see where, again, targets for me right now is only about $1 down. Maybe looking at 147.22. That's only actually going to give us now at this point 25 cents of reward to the downside, unless that breaks, and then next target becomes 145.80. Still not huge, great bullish risk. I mean, bearish reward, but if we could short higher, I'd probably take that option. I'd give it a try, unless as it starts approaching 149.57, it still looks like a beast mode. It's not settling down. Same thing with 150. I want to watch all those levels very, very closely, see if we get any type of resistance. It is Apple. When Apple's on sale, people do like them. And I would say they are recession proof as well. They just have tons and tons of money in the bank. They're not going anywhere. So Matt says, dang, Cat 4 is not good. Yeah, from what I heard, it's potentially going to be category 5 as well. Let's take a look real quick at Nvidia. Might be 5 by later today. Got it. Nvidia, we do have, again, one VPOC up is not a trend. It's just something to watch out for. Be careful of if you are short. Almost slightly little inverse head and shoulders, potentially very, very small. I want to put that much weight on the inverse head and shoulders at this point, as we're just kind of consolidating. But there's a left shoulder, there's the head, there's the right shoulder. That would make somewhere in this line our neckline. We've got a ways to go. So as long as we could hang out above this area, which roughly is looking like somewhere in the 123.27, And if I was to take a trade on this one, as close as I could get to that, maybe, maybe we go for that. We have some kind of safety, probably 122.98. Want to get my stops lower than that to some point. But we've also seen there is some pressure in this market if we're just drawing trend lines. How many times have we seen sell, 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 sell? We're getting just a little bit of rest, a little bit of buying. And then if this trend line breaks somewhere in here, which we're hanging out on right now, somewhere right there, we could see this thing just plop down and just get absolutely wrecked as well. We will see, but we definitely want to see kind of these levels holds. But this to me looks like some kind of rest before that happens potentially. So it is not going to qualify for 10 EMA. So we do have luxury of just kind of sitting back, watching it for at least a little bit until something happens. Style of lions and tigers and bears, hurricanes, inflation, Fed. Yeah. You could add British pound. You could add Russia, Ukraine war. You could add like the Chinese housing crisis coming in. I mean, I don't know. We're getting a good blend of everything in this market. Unfortunately, it's all technically negative stuff. AMD inside day. Again, we do have one VPOC up here that was never really retested. We got up there, we just kind of failed all the way. So if we go bullish, my initial target 68.16. Technically, that is a very good VPOC that we had on the day yesterday. We were obviously below that, but this could all just be a retest. We're back into it. But probably a little choppy at open on that one. You guys keep talking about HD, so peer pressure wins. Let's pull up HD real quick, see what's happening there. The perfect storm. It's too soon, too soon. Let's give it like a week, and then we make good jokes. I'm writing them down just in case. I'm writing them down. We got, yeah, Home Depot looks like a decent play. I would expect, again, maybe this looks a little bit like Nvidia, except the open's better, right? So we have inverse head and shoulders. There's the left, there's the right, there's the head, there's the right shoulder. We're gapping up. If we could get any kind of entry right around there, that would be roughly 271.36. 271.36 would be a good entry spot, a good attempt if we could get down there. And maybe that's the neckline. The neckline, it probably goes a little bit like this. This is the top of it. I would draw my neckline like this, and then somewhere actually in this zone would be an interesting spot. But we are above a lot of VPOCs. That looks decent. We do have over here, this line, somewhere around the 279, never really retested. If we get some momentum in HD, that would be my target, which gives us some room to the upside on that one. But I would see if we could get a pullback first. I would buy a dip. Mike, give me the ticker for Nordstrom again. Question is your generator ready to continue trading during the hurricane? I know that's not a question directed toward me, since right now we have bright sunny skies. Not trying to rub it in, but right now we're good on temperature. But also for anybody in Florida that that is trying to trade during a hurricane, just keep in mind you don't have to trade every day. Maybe this is a day that as soon as the lights start flickering, maybe that's when you wrap it up for the day. Maybe that's when you just call it. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. But I don't know. I'm not in this situation. But yeah, Home Depot looks decent. Which ones did we not look at yet so far? Let's take a look at Delta. Yeah, Floridians, that you guys have your own mentality for sure. You got your own mentality. I mean, it comes down raining, brings the alligators out of the swamp, and you guys are like, oh, cool, alligator, back to work. I would be scarred for the next 3 months, but like that alligator could have ate my arms. I don't know what to do. Delta looks a little bit interesting. So we do have, and I'll show you one that's better than Delta, but Delta, we do have our first VPOC that moved higher. We already kind of retested this zone, which is that previous VPOC 2897. Speaking of alligators eating arms off, usually Delta does that to me. So I'll be very careful on trading Delta, but it's just usually wild. I don't know. I just haven't figured that one out yet. But otherwise, we have this target up here that never really got retested as well, $30.07. Let me just see if there's some bigger volume. West Florida is safe this time. Yeah, I have a friend that I went to college with. She lives in Florida, and I don't know what she's doing, but she's like, yeah, we're staying in the storm. And then she's showing like her safe room and stuff, which is like some white walls. I'm like, you could have at least painted the walls before you go live, you know, look presentable out there. But she's like, I'm gonna keep updating every hour. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, it's like a crazy movie. Like like I'm not even close to the situation. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna end. Why wouldn't you just evacuate? I don't get it. I think if I get a drizzle, I'm like, no, I'm evacuating. That's it. But yeah, Delta looks decent. Again, this would take us up to that first big. This is what I got to watch out for: 2887, somewhere in this zone. But again, yeah, right around that 2950. That gets us a little closer to that $30 range. So we have some high volume areas. We are still below it. I don't know if I expect, unless again Jerome comes out and he goes, just kidding on all the rate hikes and all the bearishness I've been throwing out about the markets. We're actually running bullish until that happens. The one that looked a little bit better, at least pre-market, was UAL. From what I was looking at, where's that one? Oh, there it is. So UAL, I definitely have my eye on this one. So here we actually have two VPOCs in a row with nothing but net, right? We were wide open to about 34.43. So if I was to play an airline today, I would probably play UAL over Delta. We have a little bit of a double bottom in there as well. I could also make a case that there is some kind of inverse head and shoulders. There's the left shoulder, there's the head, there's the right shoulder. There is our neckline. Maybe we even get a pullback into this VPOC. That'd be gorgeous, but I don't know. And we're opening above those two VPOCs. There's nothing in the way up until 34.50. Not sure if it hits it today or not, but I think, and again, UAL is not on the list to trade for one of the six, but I would probably, if I had to choose an airline to play, it would be UAL over Delta. I think for me, I think there's just a little bit more safety. Airbnb is another one I'm watching too very closely. So as opposed to a lot of things, we do actually have a little bit of a bullish trend in Airbnb. It is down quite a bit. You guys know I'm a fan of Airbnb, but we're opening above this VPOC. I'm looking for probably targets a little bit higher into, I'll say first stop, 113.70. There's not a lot there to really block us from that move. So I'll be definitely watching Airbnb very closely too, as some kind of trade, position trade, something like that. And did we look at, I think we did look at AMD. Yep. We're going to hit the resistance probably 68.15. I want to see what happens at that point. SPY is a rising wedge. Are you looking at pre-market, or are you looking at daily charts, or just so I could pull up the same thing you're looking at? Delta scarier than Ian? Only if you're a passenger. Only if you're a passenger. Yeah, I mean, at least for, let me see if there's rising wedge. Pre-market, no, I wouldn't really call that rising wedge. But there was some type of downtrend. We obviously got a break. 360, whatever it was, 365.70, I think was the actual price. Somewhere in that zone. I want to see a break and hold above that level. And if we do, then we should have at least some bullish, a little bit more bullish momentum. But yeah, for right now on the SPY, just kind of hanging out. If there's any other tickers or symbols or anything that you guys want to look at, make sure you guys throw those in the chat. We do have roughly about 4 minutes. BIIB, I'm probably not touching Biogen today, but they are getting closer to, or at least news, I believe that they're closer to a cure on Alzheimer's. I almost forgot what it was. That's a bad joke. That's a bad joke, but I did forget what it was real quick. But yeah, Alzheimer's, they are at least stating they're getting very close to fixing with that situation. But yeah, massive gap on this one. Again, I'd probably, for me, stay away. Anything bio, anything is usually a little bit rough, but this is a crazy gap. I got to go out a little further. Let's go to daily chart. I mean, massive, massive gap. I imagine anybody in this thing is probably looking to take some kind of profit. Watch if this thing sells off, maybe set a little alarm for like 268.02. See if we get there. That's been a huge volume area in the past. We might get a little safety net, some kind of buying right around that zone. We also have a decent support in that area too, every time we got down there. So if we get some kind of profit taking, somewhere around that 267.45-ish, somewhere in that range, 268, I'd be looking for maybe attempt to go bullish, as there is definitely a lot of bears trapped in this thing. But yeah, massive, massive gap on this one. I mean, any cures to Alzheimer's, I think would be absolutely, I mean, that's crazy news. That is crazy. Brian says, any announcement today? For me, no, I don't have any like news. It's not my birthday, nothing like that. So for me personally, no, I don't have any like big secret announcements. But yeah, we have some of the Fed talking today. We have Jerome Powell at 10:15. That's going to be the biggest one. But again, that's opening marks he's delivering. It's not even. Yeah, they're just speaking. I don't think they're going to drive the market that crazy today as we've seen in the past. It's just not the right topic. But yeah, I mean, that's my only good news. I saved a lot of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico. That's about it. Delta, Amazon, save money, solid play. Wow, remember when we used to trade Amazon around 150? We'll take those off. We only got a minute left. My God. All right, that's only one more minute. And also, everybody in YouTube land, I forgot to mention, and I haven't slept in 2 days. Last time I was on YouTube live with you guys, I didn't even mention to like, subscribe, and share. Like I realized that as soon as I got off, I was like, man. So now you guys owe me one. So pretty much. So if you guys want to like and subscribe twice, that would be fantastic. If you guys have not already, but you just, you got to catch up a little bit. So make sure you guys hit that little heart or thumbs button or whatever is going on YouTube, and then hit notifications for any new updated content, any new videos that come out. Otherwise, we will be watching the markets very, very closely today. I do expect an extremely bullish move at some point. I just don't know when, but there will be a face-ripping bullish play somewhere in the market at some point. That's just how bear markets work, especially the bigger the move to the downside, the bigger the moves and scarier, crazier, and everyone thinks everything's fixed. We only got 8 seconds left. So unfortunately, YouTube, be safe out there. We'll catch you later. Again, if you're in Florida, be very, very safe. Be very careful.